Hey, good morning, Morter Marchers. I'm Dr. Ted Morter. Thank you and welcome to Morter March Monday. Thank you for being here on this wonderful summer day. It's pretty warm here in Arkansas. Going to be up at 95, 97 this week. That's pretty hot, pretty humid, but that's all right. It's always been hot. I remember back when I was in high school playing football and it was 105 degrees. We were having two-a-day practices. So don't tell me it's hotter now than it used to be. It used to be really hot. That was back in 1975. So I've been around long enough to know it's the same. It's the same. I want to talk today about, I mentioned my grandmother, Grace. I'm not really going to talk about my grandmother, except I will for just a second. I remember some very, very fond memories of Grace. That was my father's mother. And she was such a fine lady. I remember when I was young, probably in junior high school, and she took me from, she lived in Rootstown, Ohio, took us to Ravenna, to a department store or a hardware store in Ravenna, Ohio, and bought me a little pocket knife. The first pocket knife I ever had. And I remember that to this day. And she was such a sweet gal. And it made me think about that when I was thinking about Grace today. And what I'd like you to think about is, you know, I was talking about and remembering some fine things and some fun times and good things. But there's a lot of things that happen in our life that aren't quite as fun and aren't as good. And usually it's because of something that somebody else has said or done to us. We say they've done it for us, but really, you know, it feels like at the time they're doing it to us. And I think my point to this today is, how do you respond to that? How do you respond to things that come your way that are negative or that are affrontive or, just toxic relationships? How do you deal with those types of things or circumstances that may happen to you? And I think that the way to look at this is the way I try to focus on this is it's not so much about, what's coming at me. Things are going to come at you all the time. Things will come at you in challenges and hurdles and things to cross over and things to improve upon, things to work through. Things will come at you all the time, but you can't really control that. Things are going to happen all the time, regardless of what you're thinking, doing, acting. Things are going to come at you. The real choice that we have is, how do we respond to that? Do we respond with situations the same way? Do we respond with the same type of reaction to what the action is taking against us? Do we respond like that? So it's back and back and back and back and back. Or do we embrace the feeling of grace? This is what brought me to my grandmother this morning. When we talk about grace, we were talking about extending grace into a situation that helps you better understand maybe how you're going to respond to what happens. You can't change what's going to come at you, but you can change what comes out from you back towards that. You can change how you respond to things. And whether you let that get under your dander, whether you let that get to you or not. Hey, Blake, good morning. Do you let things get to you or not? How do you respond? Do you respond with grace, or do you respond with a negative feeling or accosted back to them? It's up to you. You get to make the choice. But I will tell you that if you keep responding back and forth in that negative manner, you're just going to get more of that. More is going to come your way. More is going to happen to you. And you're going to have more opportunities to learn that lesson and to try to lean into it with more grace. I work on that too. Sometimes I judge things that happen in my life, and I wish I maybe didn't snap at the decision so fast, or maybe I didn't snap back at a response, and maybe just take time, stop, take a breath, lower your shoulders, practice some controlled four-square breathing, and then decide what you're going to say. The pause is very important right in there. When something happens to you, pause for a moment. And what I used to teach myself way back was, I'm just going to do the opposite of what I'd like to do. And, that was okay. It helps, but the truth is, why would I want to do that? Well, that goes deeper and deeper and deeper. So I'm going to encourage you to embrace the feeling of grace more often. And when people are doing things that and how you're responding to that, respond with more grace. Respond with some forgiveness. Respond from acceptance and say, you have to realize that the reason this person is attacking you or giving you this challenge, it's because of their own insecurities, the only problems that are going in their life. So maybe they're having a terrible bad day. I don't know. Don't know. I can't be responsible for them, but I can be responsible for me. You can be responsible for you. So I'm going to embrace the feeling today of grace. And I told you, these are summer tips. It's hot outside, so I told you we're going to keep them quick and short. Summer tips. So let's respond more with grace. I'm going to be thankful and grateful to embrace the feeling of grace in my life. More grace in my life. Because that will transform into things in my physical body, things in my mental body, things in my emotional state. It'll give me more energy. It'll give me better feelings when I'm around other people, to respond with acceptance and grace and say, maybe that person's just having a bad day. I don't know. It's hard to say. Hard to say. You can't be responsible for what the others are doing, but I can be responsible for me and how I respond and react to things. And I choose to respond with more grace than I do saying negative or nasty things. More grace. I think that feels better. Let's do that this morning. Let's talk about that when we do our Morter March. So I'm going to be thankful and grateful to embrace the feeling of grace. I am thankful and grateful. I am full of grace. Full of grace. Okay, let's just do that. I like that. So I'm going to put my left foot out, my right arm up. I'm thankful and grateful for grace in my life. Thankful and grateful for more grace. Thankful and grateful for grace. Thankful and grateful for grace. Thankful and grateful for grace. I'm thankful and grateful for grace. So that was one set. We do 3 sets when we do this Morter March. Go to www.mortermarchmonday. Watch those videos. You'll learn more about why we're doing this, why it works, why it helps. So I can have more of this in my life, and so that my subconscious won't fight against this, because it's now the normal pattern to accept grace in my life. I'm thankful and grateful for grace. Thankful and grateful for grace in my life. Thankful and grateful for grace. We're half done. Go the other way. Thankful and grateful for grace. Come on, I hope you're doing this with me. Hope you're doing it with me. Thankful and grateful for grace. Thankful and grateful for grace. Thankful and grateful for grace in my life. One more time. One more time. I'm thankful and grateful for grace. Thankful and grateful for grace. I am thankful and grateful for grace. And here's the last one. Thankful and grateful for grace. Thankful for grace. Thankful and grateful for grace. I encourage you to do this all week long. Be thankful and grateful, and that'll change your whole emotional outlook. It'll change the way things are being attracted to you and how you're able to respond with grace as it goes on. I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see you next Monday. I'm Dr. Ted. Bye now.